Alex,
Hi.
nice to see you.
Good to see you too, in person.
And I think I got you on the channel, was what, a year ago?
Yeah, must have been.
Yeah, interesting. So you have been busy, right?
I've been very busy. Yeah, a lot of conferences, a lot of Bitcoin conferences.
And so tell me more about, you're mainly working on this kind of like education project, two conferences to educate more and more people about the space. And I have to say that Bitcoin Magazine is doing an amazing work, now spreading across the world in different countries, educating more people. And then also you're working on some interesting project like Nostr, for example.
Nostr as well, yeah. I think if you're asking, my goal is to spread education awareness. Bitcoin, Nostr, most open source tech takes a couple touch points. Before you kind of get it. We all have a three-pronged story. It's like I heard about it here, didn't buy it. I heard about it here, bought the wrong thing. And then finally it's like I got it, I self-custodied it, I'm experimenting in the space, like it's captured my interest. So we like to go to places where we think user adoption is critical. Europe, MENA, the Middle East, North Africa region, Hong Kong, Asia, just everywhere. Yeah.
So tell me why adoption of Bitcoin is important in Europe, and then we can talk about why in the MENA as well.
I think it's funny, I just asked Jack Mallers this as well. It's kind of equally important for everyone to have a neutral tool to navigate the world, a neutral store of value, and hopefully a nice, smooth medium of exchange. But basically a currency, you've all heard, that can't be debased or stolen from you, and if you so choose, that you can self-custody and protect from states, because states have been horrible financial custodians. They are the worst capital allocators. They have perverse incentives that cause them to basically steal from their citizenry quietly. Pervasive, inflation, the debasement of money, it's everywhere. But it's not often seen and felt in the Western world as much as it may be felt somewhere like Venezuela or Lebanon, like places, Argentina, somewhere where they're experiencing double-digit currency debasement year over year. But the fact of the matter is, the average lifespan of a fiat currency is about 90 years, and we're about 120 years overdue for kind of a reckoning of that debasement. And I think people are starting to feel it. You feel the cost of goods and services go up in the US, you feel it in Europe for sure. And this presents a really eloquent solution that it's been around for 13 years, but it's starting to become a household name. People are starting to really take a serious look at Bitcoin and try to figure out how they can get access to it.
And if we look at countries like, the UAE, for example, why do you think Bitcoin is important there? And also what roles Bitcoin plays in a place like that is kind of trying to find their own identity, because they were all, based on oil. And now, oil is not the assets that used to be. So how they can still gain an edge in a world that is fast changing. And I think they're investing a lot in technology, for example.
Yeah. I think what you've seen over the last, couple hundred years, or maybe more recently, kind of depends on where you're from, is basically countries leave a gold standard. The government becomes in charge of the money. The money becomes infinite. There's no supply cap at all, and there's no way to incentivize or enforce one, through a state. And so people have searched historically for other stores of value. Real estate, you'll often hear, get some land, get a house, the value will appreciate over it. That's a good long-term investment, right? Like a high-yield savings account. It doesn't do much to beat inflation, but it's something that people are taught and raised on, at least in the West. In the UAE, oil and also gold have benefited tremendously from that. And I won't go into the whole lecture of why Bitcoin is even better than digital gold. It's a better proposition entirely. It's not a captured market, it's finite. But we have a solution for that now. And so what I think you're gonna see in time, we're seeing now is an outflow of capital from these assets that were falsely attributed stores of value for people and into Bitcoin. I think you're gonna see less and less real estate prices, over a long time period, the amount of capital that's locked up in real estate will kind of shift into Bitcoin. We've seen that with gold as well. A lot of gold bugs have been converted over the years, and slowly they just realized, look, this is a way better proposition. You know, I don't have to pay ridiculous fees to defend it and move it and you know, get it appraised and selling it. And it's just, no, this is this is better than real estate. This is virtual, you know, property that you can own. It's one of the few things you can actually own in this world and carry with you in your mind if you want to memorize your seed phrase. It's a pretty long-winded answer, but I guess that's why we're going to the UAE, to kind of rehash this this argument we've had about Bitcoin and gold in the US many times. But there's just so much capital locked up in pretty traditional investments
pretty
there.
Traditional and conventional, you know, old-fashioned investors. They are kind of like looking. I think that they showed interest in new technologies. Obviously, Bitcoin is one of them. One of the questions that I have is that, you know, those are all good points for Bitcoin adoption, but ownerships imply responsibilities as well. Are people ready for it? Or what else could we do as an educator, for example, yourself, to kind of get them ready to actually hold the Bitcoin?
I think it's a personal question, but I'd rather have people have the choice of what they do with their energy and how they save the value of their time and hard work, than to only have, you know, a bank that's going to socialize all the risk and privatize all the gain. And so it's a trade-off, I think, that should be made case by case. You have the freedom to use Bitcoin. You have the freedom to ignore it completely. If you do use it, you have a variety of different ways to self-custody it, or collaborative custody, or you know, you could use a community bank, you can use an e-cash solution like Fedi or Cashew or something like this. There's so many different ways that it's hard to recommend a one-size-fits-all solution for people when it comes to Bitcoin. This presents problems in and of itself because people come into the space and they're overwhelmed. I had dinner with someone last night who showed me, like, look, this is the list I have of different you know, hardware wallets and custodial services that have been recommended to me since I got into Bitcoin, and I'm just at a loss for what to do. And it's like, okay, well, we need a practical approach. Like, you know, the first question I ask people is like, I don't need a number, but I need to know what the emotional value of what you're saving at the moment means to you. Because then we can allocate a security budget to that and find a solution that fits you. And the other important thing to remember is these solutions evolve. These custodial, like, you're going to feel very differently if you lost $100 or $10 in Bitcoin because you kept it on a hot wall on your phone, than if you lost, you know, 100,000 or $1 million because you were hacked, because you left it with a trusted third party. And so it's just important for people to realize the option to alleviate third party trust. You know, famous Satoshi quote: "Trusted third parties are security holes." We have a solution to alleviate that, and you're welcome to take it if you like, and you can take it incrementally and learn more about it as you go. And I think for most people that have been in this game for a while, it's your security scales with your conviction and your investment, your understanding. And unfortunately, there's no way. That's just the way the world works. You know, you're going to have to put energy into something that you've traditionally outsourced to a third party or a bank or a hedge fund. You know, so.
It's what I really like about when we have discussion is that you keep stressing on the choice and also on the freedom, on the way that you can do things. And I remember in the past we had a discussion about Bitcoin maximalists or not Bitcoin maximalists, ordinals or not ordinals. And I really like what you said, you know, Bitcoin encapsulate this concept of freedom. So in a way, you can take it where you want. You can do it the way you want. You want to do ordinals, that's fine. You don't want to do ordinals, that's also okay. Do you want to self-custody? That's great. You don't want to self-custody, that's your choice. And I think that's really the right mindset to use.
I hope so, because you know, the last thing you want to do is
force people.
You don't want to. I don't like being told what to do, particularly, especially not with my money. But I do like to know what's out there. So when you present things as a choice, you know, people can take ownership of that, and they can find solutions that actually work for them, and not get in over their head in something they might not understand yet. it's complicated. It's hard stuff. We're working on more and more solutions to abstract away all the technical underlying difficulties, like, basically the magic underneath the hood of Bitcoin, to be able to help people have a, that smooth kind of sexy user experience they're used to, with, when you tap your card to pay gas and drive off. Like, it needs to be that, that fast, some would say, it needs to be that easy. And so we have a lot of work to do.
Tell me a bit about Nostr.
Yeah. Well, Nostr is, in a lot of ways, similar mindset, right? We're talking decentralization. We're talking freedom of algorithmic choice. We're talking freedom to join a network anonymously and have no information collected about you whatsoever, which is one of the beautiful things about Bitcoin. If you choose to participate in a peer-to-peer market, you can do so as anonymously as you like. Same thing with Nostr. It's a protocol, right? If I don't like the protocols, let's call them the social media apps, or the apps that are available for Nostr today, I can go build my own. I can spin up a team. I can go look for other solutions. It's completely open. We're building on it in public, which builds up trust among, you kind of, this network of trust sort of grows. You get to know people, different solutions you can try on, but it also allows you to verify in the end, okay, let me go to the GitHub, and it's a lot to ask a traditional social media user to do, but if they want to, just like in Bitcoin, they can check out the GitHub and see how does this work? What's underneath the hood? What's being collected about me? Is my data being sold? That's a problem. Like, I didn't consent to that. There's not this 400-page user agreement that you need to sign to use it. You can join it completely anonymously, and the information that you choose to put into the world is then voluntary. I think a lot of the traditional social medias that we use and consume today and that we're so used to have traded off all of our privacy for convenience. It's a massive trade-off.
And also for a moment of fame.
For a moment of fame.
Yeah, care more about being recognized, being famous, than actually sharing their private moments, and that's horrible.
Yeah, and I think it's just got really perverse incentives where, you're kind of incentivized to have more and more kind of wild behavior and attention grabbing and addictive, very, very addictive algorithms that are feeding you dopamine day and night. You have options, there are alternatives where you can step away from all that and have a more natural, open internet experience. And that's important to me. That is kind of the spirit of FOSS. That's what we're here to do, is return sort of that choice to the hands of the people, so that you're from the moment you wake up to go to sleep, all of your decisions are not dictated by corporations and algorithms who are incentivized to treat you like a product, and make massive amounts of money at your expense by geotagging your location and showing you commercials everywhere you go. So
how big is the community now?
I think, I talked to some devs this morning, and they're thinking about 50,000 active users. It's one of those things where, that's the trade-off. When you have the freedom to join anonymously without giving up, signing over your whole life, your social security number, everything, there's no trade-off there. So I could have as many as I want. You can have multiple parties owning keys. I've worked with teams in the past. Let's say you do your podcast on Nostr. Yeah, of course, you want your whole team to have access to that account so that when you're live, the cameraman, your production, everybody's in sync. So it's kind of impossible to say. The other really cool part is we can set up a private community, just like us in this room. We could have our own Nostr sort of client and experience that is kind of not geofence, but it's enclosed within its own world. And so, like, if you don't have a branch out to other relays, you may not know that exists unless you're clued in. So you have these micro communities popping up in China, where it's been banned in various forms, in Japan, all over the world, just little groups of enthusiasts coming together. And it really feels like Bitcoin in the early days, 2012, 2013. There's so much potential that, to be fair, the people that use it now are very tech interested. They're nerds, they're Bitcoin geeks, and they have that dominates a lot of the conversation happening there now. But what we're seeing is more and more other communities find their home there. For example, completely outside of Bitcoin, I really like jiu-jitsu and martial arts, and there's been a growing interest in that on the Nostr protocol, and I've found new friends that I can talk to and even train with around the world through Nostr. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, no, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex, thank you so much.
Thank you.